Hello, everyone, and today we're going to be talking about security deposits in vacation rentals, explaining a bit the concept of protecting your vacation rental. Now, we're going to talk about security deposits, placing a hold, security deposits, placing a charge on the card, damage waivers, and then providing a damage waiver or a security deposit. To start off, let's understand guest damages. Now, according to Truvi, 1 in 10 guests will cause some sort of accidental damage to your short-term rental. Understanding what the cost of that damage is where it gets interesting. It could be as small as a scratch on the couch or as big as the entire place burned down and everything in between. So this is where understanding how you can protect your assets with different types of financial mechanisms will get you and your homeowners in a safer place. So let's start off with protecting your properties. How can you do it? The first step, and this is the one that everyone kind of relies on, is a refundable payment, a safety deposit. There's 2 types of safety deposits. There's placing a hold or charging the card. Placing the holds means you're temporarily holding a certain amount on the credit card. So if the guest has a $2,000 limit and you have a $500 hold, they can only now spend $1,500. And you have the right to capture that $500 in case there's an issue. Charging the card means you're actually going to collect that $500 and hold it yourself as kind of the merchant of records and then refund it if you need to, if there's no wear and tear and issues with the properties. Now, both have pros and cons, so we're going to go through these different examples and then we're going to talk about damage waivers. So the need to knows around safety deposits, specifically a hold, and here's an example within Enso. And we're going to give you the example of how we do it at Enso, but obviously if you use different tools, you can do it differently. This is how we automate safety deposit holds. First off is the hold is placed 2 days before the guest checks in. It automatically expires after 7 days. Now, this is kind of a problem because if you have a reservation that lasts more than 7 days or even 7 days, if we're placing it 2 days before the guest checks in, it only lasts plus 7, so 5 days into the reservation. We will renew this automatically every 7 days to make sure that you always have a hold on the card. It will be released 2 days after checkout. There's no actual charge on the card, and this may require 3DS verification, especially in Europe. If you're not familiar with 3DS verification, I'll get to that in a minute. The next option, which is the more expensive option, is to actually charge the card. Now, this doesn't have a 7-day limit or anything like that. You're actually charging the amount on the card, and then you have to refund it. Now, this is a more expensive option because you have a charge fee and a refund fee, specifically with Stripe. And you must refund the full amount to the guest if there is no issues. So you can't refund plus remove the amount that you were charged in fees. You have to refund the full amount. So this is a more expensive option, but it does allow you to have the cash on hand and not have to fight anyone when it comes to holds. In terms of the timeline, and I do want to explain this on how Enso operates for this part. So when a booking is made, we're going to send our link to our boarding pass immediately at booking confirmation. Now, the guest may complete that at the booking confirmation stage or may complete it a few days later. We're going to capture the payment details, but we're not yet going to place a hold. We're just checking if the credit card is a valid one. 2 days before the guest checks in, we're actually going to place the hold. Now, this is where you may face 3DS and may need the guest, a little reminder to the guest to let them know, hey, it is normal. We need you to verify because we're placing that hold 2 days before. So just verify the 3DS. 3DS is really simple. It's called 3D Secure, and it's just this idea of checking with the bank that this payment is actually a real payment and not a fraudulent one. 7 days after that hold has been placed, we are going to either expire the hold because we're past the 2-day checkout, or we're going to renew that hold one more time. 2 days after checkout, that is when the hold is released, and up to 2 weeks after the release, the funds are completely released and the bank fully processes the release of these funds. Now, there are a few caveats to this, which can be that certain banks, when you're placing a hold multiple times, will show the multiple statements, the multiple line items on the statement. This can cause a bit of guest confusion because they'll see a first hold and then another hold, and the first one hasn't been released yet, so it looks like they have 2 holds. But again, this is just about guest communication and letting them know about the limitations of some of the payment systems that are out there. So initial booking, credit card information, we collect that during the verification. There's no immediate charge or hold at this point, and it can be weeks before the hold is placed. 2 days before check-in, this is where we may require 3DS, and we're actually going to place the hold on the card. 7-day expiration, again, Why does the hold expire after 7 days? Because of Stripe. There are limitations to the payment processors you choose. We integrate with Stripe, and that is one of the limitations that they have. Again, this may create some potential issues with some of the credit cards and banks in Europe because they'll show multiple line items on the statements, but good communication solved that. 2 days after checkout, Enso automatically initiates the hold release, and then bam, the bank release period, again, can take up, it's usually 24, 48 hours, but for the sake of safety here, it can take up to 2 weeks for the funds to be readily available in the guest's account. Now, what is an actual alternative to this messy process of collecting safety deposits? Well, the first one is damage waivers. This is the simplest option. It is a one-time small fee, no hold or charge, no verification needed, and it is a recommended option for protection and revenue. What you're doing here is you're arbitraging the concept of self-insurance. You're collecting an additional fee on every reservation, building up that little piggy bank, and if there's an issue, you can use that revenue towards fixing whatever needs to get fixed. One key recommendation on the damage waiver, make sure that your terms indicate that the damage waiver covers up to what you would have charged for the safety deposit amount, and that is it, not more. So if the safety deposit covers wear and tear, your damage waiver covers wear and tear, not the house burning down. The next option, which is my personal favorite, and this is the one that kind of gives the guests peace of mind. So you avoid these questions of what is this additional charge that I'm being placed on? And this is the concept of a damage waiver or a safety deposit. It is the highest converting option. We're talking about 60 to 80% conversion across Europe and North America. One-time small fee, no holds or charges, no verification needed. Again, the damage waiver like we talked about, or if they prefer, a safety deposit. The reason a lot of guests choose the damage waiver is because they don't want their cards being blocked for that amount. They want to be able to spend on experiences and different types of upsells, which, mind you, you can provide in your boarding pass. That's for another demo bite. Providing the flexibility to guests gives them the choice and avoids these questions of why am I being charged an extra fee? It's their choice. They can either do the safety deposit or the damage waiver. If you're going to do this option, I do recommend making sure that you indicate on your listing description that you charge a safety deposit or damage waiver just to provide full transparency to the guests as they're booking your property. So, recommendation, my personal favorite, the damage waiver option is a preferred option. We've seen customers with about 300 to 400 units make well over $100,000 a month just on damage waivers. It simplifies the guest experience, reduces payment complications, as well as accounting and so on. It's better for international travelers and avoids those credit card limiting issues. So give your guests the choice with Flex by giving the option of a damage waiver or safety deposit if you're thinking about damage waivers but not ready yet. And if you are ready to move towards damage waivers, let us know. We're more than happy to give you some tips and tricks on how to make that profitable.